Critique of Modi's foreign trips. Video questions the outcome of Prime Minister Modi's 89 foreign trips to over 75 countries, which cost taxpayers thousands of crores. Despite numerous meetings and public displays of friendship, the actual results for India are debatable. Deteriorating relations with neighbors. India's relationships with almost all its neighbors, including Bangladesh, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Turkey, and the Maldives, have worsened under the current government. India's relation, a tale of two eras. Manmohan Singh Obama era after the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. U.S. President Obama gave India strong and clear support, stating that India had the right to self-defense and to go after terror. Both nations issued joint statements condemning terror havens in Pakistan. Modi-Trump era. Despite PM Modi holding large-scale events like Howdy Modi and Namaste Trump and calling Trump a close friend, the U.S. response to subsequent terror attacks was weak and neutral. Trump stated he was close to both India and Pakistan. The Trump-Sarkar campaign, PM Modi's slogan, Ab Ki Bar. Trump-Sarkar during the Howdy Modi event is criticized as a foolish interference in another country's internal politics, which backfired when the U.S. didn't offer strong support later. The irony of us support. After all the efforts to build personal ties with Trump, he ended up inviting the Pakistan Army chief to the White House and offered to mediate on the Kashmir issue, a stance India has historically opposed. Foreign policy is public spectacle. The video argues that the current foreign policy is more about creating a public spectacle with savage replies and Sigma moments from Foreign Minister S rather than achieving tangible diplomatic success. Comparison with Indira Gandhi's strong stance. The video contrasts the current policy with Indira Gandhi's time when she stood firm against U.S. pressure from President Nixon during the 1971 war and established Kashmir as a bilateral issue through the Simla Agreement, superseding UN resolutions, worsening ties with other nations. Pakistan. Tensions are at an all-time high, despite gestures like PM Modi's surprise visit to Nawaz Sharif. China. Numerous meetings with Xi Jinping have not resolved border tensions, leading to a record-high defense budget for India. Turkey. Despite friendly meetings, Turkey openly supports Pakistan. Bangladesh, a traditionally strong ally, is now moving closer to China, which has committed $2.1 billion in investment. Nepal and Bhutan. Both nations are getting closer to China, with Nepal joining the Belt and Road Initiative and China building villages within Bhutan's borders. Maldives, a diplomatic crisis was triggered by online trolls, severely damaging a 50 to 60-year-old friendship. Root causes of foreign policy failures. Modi's foreign policy failure. The shocking reality of 89 foreign trips cronyism. The policy seems to benefit friends of the government more than the nation itself. Communal politics at home. Hateful rhetoric from BJP leaders and trolls damages relationships with Muslim-majority countries, forcing the government to do damage control by calling them fringe elements. Using foreign policy for domestic elections. Foreign relations are used as a tool to build an image of a visual guru with a 56-inch chest for electoral gain, rather than being handled with strategic nuance. Lack of domestic strengthening. The focus is on slogans like Atmanirbhar, Bharat, and Vocal for Local, instead of genuinely building local industries and projecting true soft power. They say diplomacy is about give and take. Not this one, though. Our Prime Minister travels all over the world, meets top leaders, spends taxpayers' money, and what does he get in return? Lectures? That's what he gets. China tells him to respect their concerns. America tells him to respect human rights. France tells him to respect the opposition. What does he get for all his efforts? Lectures and criticism. Is this how a prime minister should be treated? Should India's foreign policy be based on blind appeasement? And most importantly, why is the prime minister traveling so much? We have been asking these questions for months now. Tonight, we bring you some answers. Why does Prime Minister Modi keep traveling abroad? Does he even know the answer himself? Aaj Talk's national executive editor, Ankan Basu, traveled with the Prime Minister during his recent tour. He was in New York and San Francisco, and this is what he found out. Prime Minister Modi travels so much because he wants to sell his personal brand, not necessarily India's interests. Call it Modi's America tour or a non-stop sales pitch for brand. Modi, there's a little difference. This time, the Prime Minister went to New York and San Francisco. This was after his government failed to secure a good deal in Australia. India wanted a strategic partnership with Australia, but they couldn't agree on one key issue: refugees. So India came back empty-handed from Australia. But did the Prime Minister cancel his U.S. visit? He did not. Why? Because brand Modi is more important than India's interests. In New York, the Prime Minister interacted with top CEOs and invited them to invest in India. Then he addressed the United Nations. In both the cases, he sold brand Modi. Same thing in San Francisco. He met business leaders and he spoke at an event organized by a diaspora group. But how many takers will there be for brand Modi? India needs real friends, not a UN speech or a selfie with a Hollywood actor. And let's be clear here. We are not questioning Prime Minister Modi's oratory skills. He is arguably the best speaker in the country. We are also not questioning his outreach. Every prime minister does it, even the late Atal Bihari Vajpayee. But what about the results? That's what we are looking at tonight. We told you that the Prime Minister returned from Australia without a strategic deal. His UN speech is getting little traction. So was his San Francisco speech. Let me tell you what he said on both occasions. In Australia, he spoke about his government's achievements, about how his party has a massive mandate. In America, he listed out the steps taken by his government to improve ease of doing business, steps to promote manufacturing. All good points, no doubt, but none of it is going to bring in investments. None of it will boost bilateral trade. And we are not talking about domestic politics here. We are talking about India's foreign policy. You see, selling brand Modi is not a bad strategy, but it will only get you so far. At some point, you must deliver results. Unfortunately, this Prime Minister is more interested in marketing himself than delivering results. Let's come back to the UN speech. India's permanent representative, Rukira Kamboj, says it was a resounding success. Here's what she tweeted. Prime Minister Modi's historic and inspiring address at the General Assembly sends a powerful message to the world. Fair enough. But the Prime Minister's office is not known for its transparency. So can we see the global response to his speech? How many countries praised it? Which countries? We don't know. But guess who did respond publicly? Pakistan, their mission to the UN, tweeted this. India's Prime Minister ranted and raved at the UNGA. His pitch for Indian products, Indian talent, and Indian presidency makes no sense when his government is presiding over the second largest refugee crisis in the world, the largest prison population, and growing religious intolerance. Strong words therein coming from Pakistan. That's saying something. What about the substance of his speech? The Prime Minister spoke about climate change, about sustainable development, even terrorism. He called for reforms at the UN. All good things, no doubt. But do these things require a visit to New York? Can't they be done through video conferencing? And that too, in Hindi. Why does every speech have to be in English? We understand the Prime Minister's intent. He wants to reach out to the world, connect with other leaders. But is this the way to do it? By constantly lecturing them, by speaking in a language that very few of them understand. Most world leaders do not understand the nuances of Hindi or the local language. So what's the point? Prime Minister Modi might think he is making India in the hearts and minds of people abroad. But all he is doing is creating a section of people who do not like India, do not like brand Modi. Last year, he was heckled at an event in New York. This time around, he got a polite but critical reception. The same old Modi magic did not work. So what do you make of his San Francisco visit? Well, this was supposed to be a private trip, a vacation. But guess what? The Prime Minister held meetings on the sideline. He interacted with business leaders and a select group of influencers. So much for vacation. But do such interactions really work? Will they bring in investments to India? Will they help counter China or Pakistan? Remember, Brand Modi is not synonymous with India's foreign policy. He may be the Prime Minister of India, but when he goes abroad, he doesn't represent only himself. He represents India and its people. Every prime minister realizes this. Even Mrs. Gandhi, when she went to the United States in 1966, she understood the importance of the visit. So she made sure that she wore a nice, simple white suit, a blue cardigan. She carried a handbag, and most importantly, she removed her bindi. All these things were important for Mrs. Gandhi because she wanted to connect with the American people. Fast forward to 2016. Prime Minister Modi visited the U.S. and addressed the American Congress. He, too, understood the importance of the visit. So he, too, put his best foot forward. He spoke about Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel, two towering figures in India's history. He also promised to do 3 important things. 1, he promised to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. 2, he promised to create a cleaner environment. And 3, he promised to expand India's renewable energy capacity. Did any of this happen? The Paris climate deal did not require a presidential visit. It could have been signed through video call. But that's not the point. This prime minister is not interested in such deals. When he went to Germany in 2015, he promised to make India the manufacturing hub of the world. 2 years on, India still doesn't figure in the top 25. When he addressed the Australian Parliament in 2014, he promised closer ties. Today, his government is fighting an antitrust case against Australia's Adani Group. Earlier this year, he went to Israel. It was a historic first for any Indian prime minister. He signed several deals, including one in the field of agriculture. Today, India is suffering from an agrarian crisis. Farmers are protesting across the country. So much for those agreements. And we understand the Prime Minister's predicament. On the one hand, he wants to market himself, Brand Modi. On the other, he wants to build Brand India. These two things are contradictory. So which one is it going to be? And we ask this because India needs a realistic foreign policy, not a starry-eyed idealistic one. Do we have a realistic foreign policy right now? We don't know. But what we do know is this: whether it's China, Pakistan, or America, all of them lecture India on human rights. Why do they do it? Because there's no result-oriented foreign policy. Yes, India might be a democracy, but that does not give it a free pass. India cannot ignore international concerns. It must address them. Similarly, you cannot lecture China on human rights or Pakistan on tech. If you don't want lectures, if you want respect, you must give it to others. And that's the least this prime minister can do.